hot day today. But in the studio, ladies and gentlemen, we have the new M2 MacBook. And so just like me, maybe you're also thinking about buying the new M2 MacBooks this summer. In this video, I'm going to kind of break it down, tell you which ones you should buy, whether it's the M2 MacBook Air, the M2 MacBook Pro, or should you just go for the M1, last year's version, and skip out on the M2 because there is a pretty big issue with these new ones. Let's talk about it. So as I unbox this quick video, guys, I'm not gonna take too much of your time, of course, because I value your time. But we're gonna do a quick unboxing here while I talk about specs, damn it. The M2 MacBook Air and the M2 MacBook Pro, both of them are losing one SSD chip since the M1 version. So the M1 had two, this one has just one. And that's gonna be a problem for a few people. Now, before I even lift the lid, make sure to smash the subscribe button because it really helps grow a small channel like mine, and I appreciate every single one of you. Also, if you like this video, smash the like button. If you dislike it, go ahead and dislike, and let me know in the comment section below how I can improve. In these base models, we are getting one SSD chip, and that's going to impact your day-to-day programs, things like that. And ooh, okay, well, first of all, it's kind of heavy. I gotta say, it's kind of heavy. I'm gonna lower the ISO a little bit so you guys can see better. So I just lowered the ISO. I'm sorry if I'm sweating, by the way. It is hot here today. It's like really hot. Anyways, there's quite a bit of weight to it. Let's keep going. But inside, ooh, what are we getting? A USB-C to USB-C. Whoa, a fat brick here. Now, this is different. The M2 MacBook Air has a much smaller brick. This is a much bigger brick, but this M2 MacBook Pro does have 20 hours of battery life, while the M2 MacBook Air and the M1 MacBook Air, both of them have 18 hours. So we're getting 2 hours more. You're getting a bigger charging brick, but I don't think 2 hours is going to make too big of a difference for a lot of people. SSD impacts how fast programs run and how fast they load. So for example, if you have one SSD as opposed to two, when you're playing games, your game is going to load faster on the computer with two SSD chips rather than one. Same thing with video editing. It's going to, playback and things like that is going to be a lot faster on the computer with two SSD chips rather than one. And so having more chips is a good thing. I'm sorry if I'm treating you like an elementary schooler, but I just want to get that out of the way so that we can make a more informed decision on what we end up purchasing. Look, if you're a gamer, and I'm not talking chess, I'm saying like a proper, Call of Duty. I'm gonna get hate for that, I know it, but Minecraft, Call of Duty, like if you're actually playing games that actually require quite a bit of processing, you're gonna want to skip out on the base models. Same thing if you're a video editor, like if you're a professional video editor, you're gonna want to skip out on the M2 base models. And again, for the same reason, is that number one, they're slower than last year's version, and number two, they're more expensive than last year's version. Why would you spend more money when you can spend less and get a better product? One really cool resource is this Rubino's post, basically showing you the read and write speeds of the M2 MacBook Pro compared to all the other kind of new laptop models that are out right now. And we're basically halfway up there. I mean, it's not bad, it's not good, but that's for the M1 MacBook Pro. This is literally slower. It has to be. It has one less chip. And so on that same scale, we're probably gonna be around the Surface Laptop Go and like the Dell XPS 13. I mean, like those are also respectable laptops, but nowhere near what last year's M1 MacBook Pro kind of got into, that slot it ran. And that just all has to come back to the fact that one SSD chip means a slower device. So what does that mean, and why did I end up picking up the M2 MacBook Pro? Well, let me tell you, first of all, I'm a tech reviewer, obviously. And so for me, I'm not expecting to keep this device for a very long time, probably 1 year, and then when the M3 comes out or something like that, I'm going to be upgrading. So for someone like me who wants to stay on top of the latest tech, someone that doesn't really care too much about the longevity of an item, this is really not so important. Plus, I have other devices. I have a big computer, an iPad Pro I use most of the time. This is just gonna be a secondary device, and I'm gonna keep doing reviews on it, keep doing updates over the next few months. But if you are someone, and I imagine most people are like this, where you're gonna keep this device for quite a while, for a few years, then one SSD as opposed to two is going to make a little bit of a difference, especially when it comes to your second year of use, your third year of use, your fourth year of use. Generally, computers get slower. That's just the way it is. Even my old MacBook Pro, the like 2015 model, it's really old. That does get slower as well, and it's gotten slower and slower every year that passes. And so for the longevity, go with the 2 SSD. Also, of course, if you're a gamer, if you're someone who plays heavy chess, you're probably gonna also wanna go with the 2 SSD as well, as opposed to the single. But okay, I mean, a very sharp, very elegant, but a very sharp design. This is again the space gray. Let me get that. Yep, you can see that. And this has Touch ID. Ooh, you can kind of see the brushed metal in there. I don't know if the camera's picking that up, but there's a brushed metal effect there. Pretty cool. This one, including the M1 MacBook Pro, the M2 MacBook Air, and the M2 MacBook Pro, all of them have Touch ID inside. This also I can lift with one hand, and you hear that beautiful. So there's the Touch ID, you got the touch taskbar. The M2 MacBook Air, also one thing just to note, you're gonna need to use 2 hands to open that because it is much lighter. This has counterweights. The M2 MacBook Air doesn't. And so that's going to require 2 hands to open it up. Go ahead and peel it off. Aside from that though, so which one should you buy? Let me just break that down. Which one's better for you? Look, if you're just a college student on a college budget and maybe you're getting the new M2 MacBook Airs as part of some sort of a promotion or something like that, then yeah, go ahead, go for the base models because that'll be more than enough for your needs. If you're a heavy gamer, you're thinking about gaming with this device or video editing professionally, you're gonna save time going for the 2 SSD as opposed to 1. If you're someone bougie and you have way too much money, you're a big baller in Toronto, then you know what? Just go for the 512 gigabyte version because that one does come with 2 SSD chips. That one will run really fast. It'll have the best chip and you're future-proofing yourself quite a bit. But if you're not a baller, you're somebody who is on a budget and wants the best device, go for last year's M1 MacBook Pro. That is cheaper, that has 2 SSD chips so it runs faster, it has the same RAM and everything, and that's using an M1 chip, which is still a very good chip. It's a very good processor. Huge trackpad. I'm actually not used to this. This trackpad is humongous. Damn, okay. Another thing to note is that with the N2 variant, so these new ones, specifically the M2 MacBook Air, the screen does get noticeably brighter. We're talking 500 nits, so it's going to be brighter. Last year's version had 400, so if you are a student and you like to study outside, you know, maybe a cafe or in a park or something like that, then that brighter screen is going to make quite a bit of a difference whenever you go out to study or out to work or anything like that. So consider that as well. As far as the battery is concerned, 2 hours, I wouldn't really consider that for a laptop to be a deal maker or a deal breaker. So I don't really consider the battery. I consider all of them to have good battery. But I guess at the end of the day, it's about the price. And if you're on a tight budget, go with the M1. Don't even think about the M2. If you're looking for longevity, something that's going to run for a very long time, go with the M1. Or if you have a lot of money, go with the M2, but at the 512 gigabyte variants, just avoid the base models. And if you just don't care or you're kind of stuck in this promotion or deal that's only offering you the base model M2, then you know what, go for the M2. Because if you're a student, it's not going to make too big of a difference or any difference at all. It's really only going to impact the pro consumers the most. So while I get this MacBook set up, I'm going to be following up with you guys like every month, doing a full review on how this has continued to perform. If I notice any specific issues stand out as I put this through my day-to-day tasks. Of course, if you appreciate that, smash that subscribe button because it really helps me out. And until next time, take it easy. Peace.